Welcome to Man-to-Man Coverage. Today we will be finishing up our NFL playoff predictions in the AFC. We are joined by legendary NFL analyst Sam Jones today. Hey Sam, what's up?
Nothing much.
Nothing much? All right, well let's get right into it. We're starting in the AFC South. We're going to be pretty much ranking our top team in the division. We have the Texans, the Colts, the Titans, and the Jaguars. This is a little bit of a boring division, but there's definitely some interest with Phillip Rivers coming into the mix and the Titans back with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. So let's start with Sam. What do you see happening in the AFC South this year?
Well, for researching all of this, I focused on the schedules of individual teams. The main thing that I found is that it feels like a coin flip between the Texans and Titans overall. While the Texans may start with four tough teams and the Chiefs, the Ravens, Steelers, and Vikings, the rest of the season looks wide open for them, other than the Packers and the Titans twice, and the Lions, and that's about it. So despite starting at worst 0-4, 1-3, or 2-2, at best, if they have the Titans' numbers and split the two wins, they can either go 11-5, 10-6, or 9-7 and slip into the playoffs again, just like last season. Meanwhile, with the Titans, they have a mixed bag all over the place. It's a weird, wacky schedule with hard games out of nowhere, and I at least saw with their thing 7 guaranteed wins, and the rest are 50-50 games. Like, you could flip a coin, and one team will win, the other one will lose. It'll be close, but I think the Texans still have an edge and an easier remaining schedule, while the Texans still remain a trap team for most games and will surprise us.
What do you think, Geoffrey?
I disagree. I see the Colts winning the division. Now, because if you look 2 years ago, they had a great team with Andrew Luck, and they have a great O-line. They added Michael Pittman Jr. They have a great wide receiver corps now, and they added DeForest Buckner. So if you look at this team, all they needed was a better quarterback. And even though Phillip Rivers wasn't that great last year, that was mainly because of the interceptions. And the Chargers O-line is nowhere as or nearly as good as the Colts O-line. So I feel like Phillip Rivers is going to rebound a lot, and that the defense, they were pretty good last year, but then Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner might make this defense one of the top defenses in the league.
I got to agree with Geoffrey here, and that's something I really don't do often. But, Phillip Rivers brings a different type of leadership and experience to that Colts offense. And let's not forget, Phillip Rivers actually has that energy. If you actually watch him mic'd up, he is so excited and he's very passionate on the field. He can actually rally the players. And Jacoby Brissett, he's solid, but he's not at Phillip Rivers' level. And Frank Reich is a great coach. And I think, like Geoffrey said, DeForest Buckner brings a different level to that defensive line. Darius Leonard is one of the most underrated players and probably one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Malik Hooker in the back. And then T.Y. Hilton's coming back, and T.Y. Hilton's set to make this his last contract, where he was set to retire as a Colt. I think he's going to come guns blazing. He's going to go back to his amazing form. And, Sam, you said the Texans are your favorite to win, but I just think they're too dysfunctional to win this division. Bill O'Brien does not have a good hold on managing this team. They lost DeAndre Hopkins because they didn't want to pay him. And guess what? The Texans are the third highest team paying for the wide receiver position. They overpaid for Randall Cobb. They overpaid for Brandon Cooks. And they let go of arguably a top 2 wide receiver in this league. I don't see the Texans winning this division. And, Deshaun Watson, if you had Deshaun Watson, you'll always be competitive. But I would rather the Colts or Titans winning this division than the Texans.
Sam, do you want to respond to that?
Pretty much that'll mean overall though that it's a 3-horse race then rather than 2, which makes this way more interesting than some of the other AFC leagues, despite what you said earlier about it being boring. Sure, it's boring. There's no way. I don't think any of us can say that one of these teams out of all the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll still be competitive with each other. But I don't see any of these 3 teams getting maybe. Well, to be fair, the Texans surprised everyone, but still lost to the Chiefs late. So even though they lost their number 1 wide receiver, they still have other weapons around them. They got a couple of good pieces in the draft. And while the draft's never exactly a great thing because so many draft picks you see just vanish off the face of the earth, we'll have to wait till preseason to find out.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin and Geoffrey on that. I think the Colts have the top to bottom best roster in the division. And now they obviously upgraded their quarterback. Phillip Rivers gives some experience, some in-play audibles at the line of scrimmage. And also, like Kevin mentioned, the trash talking, which is also a great aspect of leadership that he'll bring to the team. Texans obviously did take a step backwards with the loss of Hopkins. And I think it's just Deshaun Watson and the rest of the team on that roster. So, yeah, Colts at the top and everybody else competing, but not necessarily getting to the top of the division.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people have Titans winning this division, but the problem I see with the Titans is that I just do not trust Ryan Tannehill. I know he had some pretty good games later in the year, but he really didn't do anything in the playoffs. And I feel like this offense is too one-dimensional and it's mainly focused on Derrick Henry, and some teams might be able to figure out how to stop this Titans offense.
And if I'm not wrong, the Titans also lost Jack Conklin, huge piece on the offensive line, to the Browns. Obviously that rushing attack with Derrick Henry is vicious, but I think more and more teams will start to figure out how to put a stop to that as they have a whole year of tape to work with.
Yeah, it's definitely an old school offense. Like, you know what they're going to do against you, so you can definitely plan to stop the run against the Titans. So, yeah, that wraps up our AFC South.